We are on a roll with Business One-on-One, the video podcast series. We are already on episode 4, and our guest today is an expert in the field of operations support for creative entities as well as small businesses. And her name is Darcel. I appreciate that you guys are all willing to step out of your comfort zone to be able to do things like this, to convey the information needed to startups and creatives. We want to delve into you as a person, why you are doing what you are doing, and get some backstory on who you are.
I have been involved in the entertainment industry for quite some time, being on a club committee to a Juve band to another photography website. Experience. I was always in the quest for experience from since I was a teenager, just doing a summer job or Christmas time, you're working in the mall. When I finished school, meaning Form 6, I went straight to work. You know, I started off as an admin assistant for a petroleum-based company, very small boutique thing. And like while I was there, I was trying to figure out what did I really want to do in life. Somehow I stumbled across advertising because I didn't know it to be a career because I was just 19.
Yeah.
And I went to work in an agency. It really opened up my eyes. So there was a whole new world that I didn't really understand. And I kind of went to look into the study choices, which led me to SAMS for marketing. I worked at a magazine. It was just fun to learn and be around that. And I always loved learning on the job. Like, even though I was never traditionally trained in it, I was just always quick and interested. And it took me everywhere. I went to work at a distribution company and I became a brand manager. And I quickly excelled at that, just based on my personality and my willingness to just constantly learn and go above and beyond.
And your work ethic.
Yeah,
I'm
just
sure,
work ethic was a big part to play. Like, I started as a assistant brand manager. About a year after that, I went to a brand manager, which is, I guess, in some places not easy to accelerate that quickly. But they trusted me with a lot of the larger brands, and I learned a lot from there, understanding the process of what it takes for global brands especially. And just developing structure, that was really my foundation for that. In understanding the corporate world, what is required, what are some of the things people take for granted, even as an employee. Like, that was my first exposure, and I would go to them with my payslip like, what is this? Why is this figure like this? But how come for this year it wasn't this, and this year was this, and incentive programs, like all of those things, that's where I learned all of it. And I was like, wow, you know. And I really took a lot of that insight and I brought it to my next career, and where I ended up at this event company. I've been there for the past 5 years. Love it. You know, we could be at each other's throats at time, but you know, at the end of the day, that's part of it.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot. And I took what I learned from that brand management role to really help groom and build this event company, because it was just the three of us. It was me, the two directors. It grew very rapidly, and a company that went from being a home side job to a full-on company. Like, I took great pride in being part of that and getting that system up and running it, you know, and it exposed me to a lot of the resources that I have today, which is why I felt the need to do what I'm doing, because there's such a wide pool of people that can help young creatives or entrepreneurs, small business, or whatever, you know, even if you're not in the creative field.
How was that transition moving from a very structured 8 to 4, 9 to 5 life to a very flexible, full-time, all over the place type of lifestyle?
The hardest part of the transition is that risk, because I'm generally risk averse. You just hope that it will do well, and that the stability of a monthly income will be there, and that type of thing, you know. So it's worked out well for me to date.
And I think too, when you enter into a situation like that, you delve more wholeheartedly into it, because you know you are investing
you have
everything.
To make it, you have to make it happen, you know. And a lot of the times, what I think, especially in the event industry, people don't realize the amount of work. You would never be able to quantify what that dollar value is for that worth, and that amount of work that is required. Because even at the brand manager role, I used to call it like the bell ring. Like, literally at 3 o'clock or at 4 o'clock, you would just see people walking out the door. And I'm like, did you even pack yet? Like, how y'all know it's 4 o'clock, you know? And I would just be there till 5. And they'd be like, okay, we need to close the building now. Could you go? And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, fine, you know?
Yeah.
Because I was just always in me. I will just be doing and doing and doing, right? So it's still a work in progress for me to learn those boundaries. But I think it really just boils down to you really have to set some sort of a schedule.
Right.
Try as best as you can to stick to it. I am guilty of not often doing that, but I'm trying to improve on that.
Recently, I had to go to a physiotherapist because my wrist started to give so much trouble, and it's that same reason. I was I was on the computer editing,
All
and
the
like my
time.
mind going, so I don't want to
Yeah.
stop. And I remember her saying, at some point, even if it's to do something as simple as set an alarm on your phone for every half hour, an hour, to nudge you to stop and take 10 minutes. Reset, recalibrate, and then get back into it. It's a lifestyle habit.
Yeah.
It's only so much you can do if you keep going.
Exactly. Because then you'll have to stop by force.
Yes.
And then you'll have to stop for a long time, which will make it even more stressful. You are always going to be thinking of ideas, of ways to do things, of new concepts. You're always thinking. Like, you're just fully immersed in that world, and a lot of it contributes to the success, but you also have to try to manage not getting overwhelmed. And,
Yeah.
you break down and you're like, I don't know how to get out of this. And I think creatives in particular often might miss that, because you're very caught up and you want to get this done and you don't want to lose this idea and you have only so much time. And when you're in a momentum, you want to just
you're going,
punch
you're
it out.
nonstop. Yeah.
But after a while, it could lead to burnout. You feel very stressed. You don't know. Mental health is going to be a big thing.
Of
I learned that
course.
very late.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that boundary setting is a really, really important priority that creatives and all business owners need to establish, because you think that you have to grind and grind and grind.
What about the people who would see you doing great work and then just approach you to help or to assist with, and it's very time-consuming task, but they're not offering to pay you for it? Did you ever have to deal with situations like that?
The key in getting further business is just being open and having a conversation. But if it requires anything further and a lot of your time, you can say, hey, I can't do this. I can get you somebody to do it. Or if you want me to do it, we'll have to establish. Let's organize some sort of arrangement.
Yeah,
it's
I remember that
hard.
being, it's like one of the cringiest things for me to, and I'm still learning how to do it in the most professional way, because
especially when it's your friends.
yes, especially
Your
for
friends
somebody
are
that
often the first
that you
ones.
care about and you
Yeah.
want to see them grow and get better.
Yeah.
It's like, you come in and I will talk to you, but when it starts to get to the point where it ventured into hours and hours, like, how do I stop now and be
That's
like,
hard.
here the scene?
It is kind of hard, but I think you have to place a value on your own time, and that's something that I plan to communicate through my social media. That what do you see as your dollar value to your time? Every hour of your time that you spend, how much do you see that is worth?
Yeah.
And every hour that you give that to somebody else is money that you would lose for yourself. So you have to really think about it like that when you see it going down that road.
Yeah.
There's no problem in trying to help a friend and you give advice or whatever, but you have to establish a cutoff point, because it's going to consume you and it's going to get carried away and you don't want to be taken for granted. And I mean, if it's a true friend, they will understand, listen, I've done all of this for you and you're my boy, you're my girl, but I can't spend too much more time because I need to work on this project. If you really want me to pursue it, let's talk a way that we can both benefit.
Yeah.
And if they really want it, they will accept a payment plan. Or something, you know, it's something is better than nothing. But,
and I think too, because when I saw your profile, when it was sent to me and I clicked on your Instagram, you said you had now started. It didn't look like that until I clicked on the dates and I was like, oh, this is the other day.
Very new,
But the fact that you pre-packaged what you are offering, I think that as well sets a tone for people approaching you to understand that this is not something that you're just doing on a whim. There's a structure to this. There's packages. There's a service fee. So you already condition them to come into your space, understanding that this is a professional service. We are in the creative sphere, right? Like, we do a lot of creative work. People just think we are very easily accessible and they could just call you when they want and talk to you and ask you for help, or you know. And like, I recently completed a website where I remember feeling so relieved when it was done, because now if somebody asks what I need help with so I could just intercept the conversation one time and be like, okay, well, there's a page on the website that specifies the solution.
Even if you say check out the website now, and if you see what you need, just shoot us an email.
Immediately,
That's it.
and then you already set a professional tone right there. So I think that's something important for people to know about as well, because that professional channel and establishing that is so huge in I guess guiding the direction and the mindset of somebody coming to you for assistance or help out or favor.
You and I might be friends, but when you want to engage me for something, you can't look at it as a friend thing. And I know that's going to be hard for people, but you have to establish that boundary to say, okay, when I'm doing business, you need to talk to me via email, you need to send correspondence here, whatever. You can reach out on WhatsApp, that's fine, but you have to redirect them to a professional channel.
Yeah.
And it is very
That's really
important
good
for that
advice.
because then they will respect you better.
Yeah.
And they will understand that I can speak to X person in this way because they're taking their job seriously.
We were talking just now about your official title, and that for
Yeah.
you is a struggle, just like it is for me to tell people
Yeah.
what specifically I am because it's so vast.
Yeah.
What do you identify as in the vein of the services that you offer?
Realistically speaking, I am the safety net. People will always come to me for something. Like some of my friends jokingly call me the plug because I always know somebody to do something that they might need, right? Even in my current full-time position, I'm like the mother hen. I'm always the one taking care of people and whatnot. So whatever term that people can look at that as, I think I'm mostly like an operational support type of person. And I just saw my strength as being that person that is the go-to that can get things done. Not all of it I know myself, but I know how to find the person that can get it done. And I took that as an opportunity to say, you know what, the skills that I do for my current employer, other business owners also going to need it. I can supplement in this way in whatever downtime that I have to help other businesses flourish and grow and do what I was able to contribute to my event company.
How, for you, have you been able to establish yourself as a go-to entity?
How this idea came about, you need to stay in your zone to be your best.
Yeah.
And to switch that mode off to go and think about things like, oh, I have to do an invoice or I need to get this registered. That's, you don't really want to do it, so it makes it even harder. It's easier, you just get somebody who has that skill set and you know how. And one of the lessons that I've learned is if you would do something great for free, somebody's going to want to pay you to do it. And that's
Right.
exactly what ended up happening with me. Somebody is going to eventually look at you and be like, you know what, I am willing to pay you because I need this done exactly the way that you've done it. You're just getting it done. That's what you want. It will be done faster.
Yeah.
And that's really the point of all of this. As a business owner, let's say you need to hire new staff. You don't know the first thing about writing a job description. You don't know anything about vacancy, notices, how to do interviews, whatever. That's one person you have to find. You need social media management. That's another person you have to find. You need to pay your VAT and your PAYE every month as a next person. That is a lot of people that you as a business owner have to look for if you didn't know where to find it.
Yeah.
My model is you just speak to me and I get it
You
done. You
source
just tell me
everything. Yeah.
because that's why my services are so varied. Because a business owner may not have the time to look for this person, vet them, make sure it's done, follow up on a person. Like, it's a lot of time.
it's a
And do your
banks-
business.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it banks on the person even knowing that these processes are
Yes,
required,
yes.
right?
For the most part, I think every business does need to place emphasis on bookkeeping, social media management, not for sales. I strongly believe that social media management is just an advertising tool.
Yeah,
You know, it's
agreed.
similar to a billboard. Don't place all of your emphasis on having an IG page because from the day Instagram closes down tomorrow,
What's going to happen to you?
all your clients
Yeah.
gone. You need to establish database management. That is really, really key. So it's going to tie in the social media to keeping track of who your real clients are. Even if it's, again, a spreadsheet, you have the name, the email address. The email address is your most direct form of contact. People change numbers all the time, but they don't really change emails as much, right? They will use certain emails for certain things, but if a girl gets stuck and she change her number, you lose contact with that person from
Right.
WhatsApp one time.
Yeah.
You know, so really place an emphasis on using social media to build your clientele, build your database, and always convert them to a place where you are in control. Let them email you things. You keep in contact in that way. Business registration.
Right.
Whether it's a sole trader or limited liability company. Some people may not realize that, you know, one might have a benefit over the other. Yes, a sole trader might be more affordable, and if it's a startup, you know, you can try that. But as things progress, you would want to cover yourself with a
Transition, yeah.
limited liability company because all the risk is on you
Yeah.
as a sole trader. If you mess up something, they take in all your money.
Yeah.
They don't care. They
Yeah.
don't want to hear about it. Whereas with a limited liability, you can get that protection. It's a little more costly and a little more work, but in the long run, it might cost you less.
Yeah.
You see HR and legal support. I think a lot of people underestimate the need for service contracts and independent service provider agreements. Because when you get shoddy work from somebody and they still expect to be paid, you don't have anything to protect you. And now you have no choice but to pay this person because
Yeah.
they've already done the work,
Right.
you know? And a lot of people tend to shy away from agreements, but I think if you really want to run a business and it's not just a side hustle, you would really take interest and put things in place that will help protect you. And it will also be beneficial to the person as well because they will now take their work seriously because, hey, I signed a contract and I
Yeah,
need to make
I
sure
have to
this is
deliver.
done properly. Yeah.
Yes.
Keeping a digital copy, making sure you have a hard copy of all your invoices as well as your expenses because if, God forbid, one day somebody needs to audit you, you're going to have to scramble and look up in your email and find this and find that. It's really important to keep all of your stuff filed either by necessity, so like, you know, create like a general house business type things, like your scan copies of your certificates of registration or whatever. If you're VAT registered, just having scan copies of all of those things. But in terms of expenses, try to keep a monthly record every year. Whatever you spend, scan it, put it in the folder and leave it.
Right.
Even if you have to just do that.
Yeah.
If you're not keeping an Excel, at least do that. So you have something to draw from. Email management would mostly just be a business who is very late on responding to emails to clients, which a lot of customers don't like. They see that as poor customer service if you
Yeah.
don't even acknowledge receipts.
Yes, and you're going to exercise
Yes.
quality control.
Yes, yeah.
in that.
So I
Okay.
select the service providers or the subcontractors based on my understanding of their skill set. And I just understand this is the need for this type of client. I need somebody who is to the T because this client is going to pick up when you're doing BS.
Yeah.
One client I spoke to the other day who asked for social media management. I asked, do you have any pictures of your
Content,
own
yeah.
that we can use? And he's like, nothing. And he's like, oh, you know, I have a virtual thing happening soon. Could you get somebody for me? And that's another service.
Right.
You don't need to now go and look for a photographer and a videographer to do that. I can get that for you. So that's one thing. While you swarm with week, I can now arrange and source it, send you the code. Good? All right, good. I will handle it from there.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
love how diverse it is because,
Yeah.
as I said, people don't even know where to go
Yeah.
to get that
Yeah.
type of assistance. They just know it
Yeah.
needs to be done a lot
Yeah.
of times, and they get
You just
stuck.
need to get it done.
Yeah.
And that's why I never felt just funneling it into an administrative assistant bracket
Right.
or administrative management. I feel it's so much broader than that. You know, it really is you offering support to this business in all realms.
What do you say to people, I guess, especially in this industry, regarding investing in services like this? As I said, a lot of people, they know they need it, but they would
Yeah,
shy
they're
away from getting it
apprehensive.
because they don't understand the process, one, and they feel like they can't afford it.
Yeah. I know that the first step would be apprehension to if they can afford. You have to look at it as what do you see as the cost of your time? Because if you had to do it by yourself, figuring out the process,
Yes.
you're going to get a lot of stumbling blocks along the way and you don't have time for it. So for me, it's like, what do you place as that value of that time? And think of that fee you're paying me as that's the cost of what you can say as I don't have time for this and I'm willing to pay X amount of dollars to get this person so I could continue going about my business and making money instead of spending 2 hours that I could have been
Doing
making
this.
money
Yeah.
to do this.
Actually was talking to a producer about that as well, and he said, you know, there's a thing called working smart, and at the end of the day,
Yeah.
even though you
Have
feel
to
like you
work
can't do it
smart,
for
not
yourself,
hard, yeah.
like, do you really want to spend 2 weeks trying to figure out something that you could have just paid an expert to do, and you could have come up with
Exactly.
5 ideas within that
Yep.
2-week period to
Yep.
pay a bill?
I think people forget that having an established business also helps with staff retention. And if you can keep people happy and implement things that make them see the benefit of working for you, you know, they get more of a vested interest.
And I'm glad you're
Yeah.
here because you can identify the difference between an employee and a contractor,
Yeah.
and what are the benefits or the
Yeah.
pros and cons related to each
Yeah.
category of people.
My setup would definitely be a contract
Contractor,
agreement.
right.
So I'm not going to be an employee of yours, but you've hired me to execute these specific tasks
Right.
by this deadline or whatever terms have been negotiated, and that's it. You don't
Whereas
have
within
to.
your own company, if you
Yeah.
want to hire an admin assistant
Yes.
or whatever, you can go the
Yes,
route of a full
exactly.
employee.
And that way I can then manage them, do performance reviews, you do training, you do all these things that you spend time to make sure this person
To invest in them.
does what you need done properly. Whereas in a contract sense, they're doing it their way, you just need the job done. That's it. So the employee structure, once you have a person hired, and you can do contract employment as well. But you have to pay your NIS for your staff based on your salary. You're going to have to pay PAYE, health insurance. That's just your duty as an employer,
Yeah.
registered employer in Trinidad and Tobago. All the roads that you're driving on, everything comes from those taxes. So it really boils down to you being able to employ this person, provide them with some sort of security that they feel, yes, I'm going to have a sure amount of money every month because this person has employed me for this period and I have a contract to prove it.
Right.
It helps them even go to a bank and get loans or whatever the case may be. If you're an independent contractor or service provider agreement type thing, you just get one fixed fee and that's it. You handling your own thing. You're not getting any NIS. There are no benefits. There's no vacation. I need you to do my job. I don't want to hear you in Mexico gallivanting and you off this week.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be doing my job.
Yeah.
You know, so there are those kind of pros and cons. Service provider contracts, of course, have its own flexibility that you told me you want it done by this deadline. It doesn't matter if I do it morning, noon, or night.
Yeah.
It's done by the deadline.
Yeah.
You know, but it really depends on the relationship, the nature of the job, the terms of the contracts, etc.
I saw that you offer financial planning as a service as well. Why delve into that area?
Because they're probably underpricing themselves. You know, I do think after a while you don't really understand how much is really bleeding from your pocket. It's trying to understand what is the value of this and understanding who to say yes or no to and really taking a closer look at your personal structure and how you price your services and all of these things. That's really the importance of financial planning to me.
Yeah.
If it is you have a business goal, you want to buy a house one day, how are you pricing yourself at $500 for little things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're never going to get there.
And even as you said, establishing something like an hourly rate,
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
factors
yeah.
that you would need to consider based on your nature of business as well. Yeah.
And it also helps creatives to understand the difference between high payoff and low payoff. It doesn't make sense just because you will end up working hard and not smart. You're engaging a lot of people in small jobs, but your skill set is much broader.
Right.
But what are you doing to get that broader client? You know, is it that you've been pursuing the client that is a government organization or whatever other big ticket things? It's going to be a lot harder for you to really meet that goal if you keep spinning in the same small pool. So a financial planner will show you or understand, okay, you have these skill sets. You're underpricing yourself because everybody else in the industry is charging 1,000 and you're charging 5.
Yeah, if you come into a space not aware of what the industry standard is
to
and
know.
you start undercharging, you're undercutting the entire industry and lowering the standards for everybody else involved.
Of course.
Yeah.
And while some people will see that as well, that's their business, I will get more work that way. You doing a lot more work and making your target a lot slower because it's smaller amount of money that you're making. At the end of the day, you need that kind of insight to really understand, is this even going to get me anywhere? Are you spinning top in mud? Are you making enough money to even cover your basic monthly living costs? How do you come up with that figure? How do you know what you want to make on a month? You know? And then it also kind of lends into the business development side where if you think that all you're doing is graphics right now, but the industry looking at motion graphics, go and learn motion graphics because that might be the bigger ticket thing now. While you spending $300, charging people $300, you could have been earning 1,000 on a piece. A lot of people like to use this word hustle and this you're getting a hustle on and you're hustling. Like, I mean, I get it. It's the trendy way to talk about business and how people operate now. But sometimes I feel like it puts our younger generation in a mind frame that it's a temporary thing. Because to me, hustling is you're doing something quick and it's really not really for the long term. You know, it's like I wish people would let go of the term in that sense just to get their mind frame more focused on being professional and taking things bit by bit to do it the right way. It's kind of like you measure twice, cut once. You're not trying to just organize that quick. Like it's not a quick thing now. Even if you've spent, you might be taking a short time to do something. You would have spent 2-3 years to learn how to do that one task in 15 minutes. And don't underestimate that. That is not a hustle. You know what I mean? Like, this is a legitimate service that you can package and offer to somebody. Don't treat it like a hustle because you ain't hustling to go nowhere and they ain't hustling to pay you. So, so at the end of the day, you know, you want to come across professional and get out of this mind frame that it's just a quick dollar you're trying to make. You're really trying to live. You're trying to produce something or offer a service that shows value to this client or this customer, and you're going to get paid in return, and you're going to do that ongoing. It's not a hustle. I think it's important, especially for millennials, to understand that, you know, even though you have a lot of friends, that doesn't mean you're going to get support. You really have to work hard and not just rely on your immediate circle to grow your business.
They always say hard work supersedes talent.
Yeah,
You could
at
be
the
the
end of
most
the day,
talented
yeah.
person in the world, and somebody less talented than you that works harder than you will get way further than you. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to recognize that there are certain things you just have to do it.
Yeah.
No matter how much you avoid it, you have to take certain steps to really be truly successful in whatever it is that you want to pursue.
So for the people who might be struggling, trying to figure out what do I do now? I lost my
So-
job, I don't have a job, how do I make ends meet as a result of what's happening in the climate right now
Exactly, yeah.
economically?
Yeah, COVID, I think, was such a roller coaster of emotions for everybody. Trying to understand what's next.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do if things don't pan out? What if we can't do events again in the next 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
We need to figure out a plan. And I also saw COVID as a grounds to really bring out a lot of entrepreneurs. Because now people are just
You're
like me.
forced- yeah,
You
you're
have
forced
to
to get
think about a
creative.
backup. But they never knew what it takes to be an entrepreneur. They don't know the process of registration. They might get overwhelmed. They don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
And you might have a really great idea, but you don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
So that was really why I created this, to help guide people. You have this amazing idea, no problem. Let me help you make it happen so that it really comes off.
You just said that, and no lie, like my pause reason, because like you said it, and it hit home from a very personal place for me, because I remember when COVID happened, I was like, what to do now? Because we did events as well. Ours were more
Yep.
small social events,
Yeah.
workshops type of things, and I
Yeah.
was like, what to do next? We don't know, but we in a digital realm now,
Yep.
and I remember thinking. Exactly. Well, I didn't even realize that's what I was thinking, but this platform that I created
Yep.
was centered on the fact that I felt like more people now are going to probably start their own businesses,
Yep.
and they're going to need the information
They
to
don't even
find
know
out
where to
yeah,
begin.
how to start or what to
Yep.
do or what's required of
Yes.
them. And I'm talking about some of course reason
So
again.
things like this, honestly, this podcast, just the existence of anybody that has a service that can help entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
That's really what the economy needs right now, because employers, like the bigger corporations, they cannot sustain employing people if it is that they have limitations. And that's just a fact.
Yeah.
We can't place the blame on the government. You can't place it on your corporate employee. Yes, you wish it will be different, but it's not.
Yeah,
And you
and it
can't
just
sit and
evolve in.
wallow.
You
And
just
you
have to figure it out.
Yeah. And if it is that you do have something, as a friend said, if you making bread, go and sell the bread. That's a start. At least
Yeah.
there's a lot more dollars in your pocket that you would have had if you sat around and did nothing now.
Yeah.
And don't be down about the fact that you didn't really want to, because I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. That was one of my things. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur, I'll be honest. I always saw myself as the background person. I would help people and I'll work for them. I didn't want that responsibility of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But this showed me how I can marry the two, where I can be an entrepreneur, but I can also still be the support person, where it's not like me thrust in the spotlight, because
Yeah.
I don't really care for it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this really gave me that opportunity to pivot, which is the buzzword, and really understand what opportunities are lying there. If you don't know something, it's okay. You were making pots.
Yeah.
That don't mean you have to know about social media. That don't mean you will know bookkeeping, because all you know is to make your clay pots and do it
Yeah.
really great.
And that's fine.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to fight you down for it, but you need it
know
done
this,
properly.
yeah.
And somebody there to help you. You just have to ask a question.
Yeah, people like you are so important
Yeah.
to see, like to actually
Yeah.
see tangibly existing,
Yeah.
so that it already sends a message that there is
Yeah.
another side to your craft
Yeah.
that you need to take seriously as well. Otherwise, you all wouldn't exist. Why would you be
Yeah.
offering these
Yeah.
services? You know.
Yeah. Seek the information.
Yeah.
Like this podcast.
Oh, thank you. And I think for you, there's this line that constantly comes to mind when
Yeah.
I do this podcast, and it's that with
Yeah.
limitations, spark creativity, right? You
Exactly.
get very you're forced enough,
Yeah.
you're backed up to be
You have
creative and
to,
figure it
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I can't even, the invaluable content that you would have just given us here in this conversation. There's so
Yeah.
many people that need what you do, and
Yeah.
I would love for you to share with everybody looking on your
Yeah.
information and how they can access you.
Yeah. I am available on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at the Biz Manager TT BIZ. That's what my
name itself is
I
so
know
cool,
it's cute,
yeah.
right? The official business name is the Business Manager, but on socials you call me the Biz Manager TT.
Very
You can email me at info@thebusinessmanagertt.com. You can go to my website to get all these services, which is another important thing that
Yeah.
people need to remember. Websites are very important to own your information, but anyway. So www.thebusinessmanagertt.com, and I'm ready. When y'all are ready, here.
She's here.
Here, ready.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this 4th episode. I mean, we are really on a roll right now, and I hope that we will continue to get people of your standard and quality on this show. But you are welcome to come back anytime.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
I know.
It was cute. It was fun.
It's so fun to get people who are really forward thinking and progressive in what they're trying to do, and they really understand the value of work. And I think people really need to have access to that type of information. So thank you 100 times for coming through. Even though it wasn't it's out of your comfort zone.
I know, and it's so quick. I was like, whoa, I literally just launched, guys.
Yeah.
You all invited me for podcasts and things.
No, see, that's why being a good go-to person works in your benefit, because the person who sent me your stuff, they knew you from before, and it was easy for me. Normally I don't just reach out to people on a one-off basis just from seeing stuff. The person was like, listen, you need to feature her. She's been working behind the scenes with this event company for years, and she's really, really good. So like that endorsement alone,
girl.
That endorsement alone was enough for me to be like, all right, come on. I've never met you before, but I like your vibe from what I hear, so come on, just come and be on the show. So thank you again so much.
Thank you, no problem. Anytime.
So we'll see you guys in the next episode.